Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. My name is Ark, and this is The Grind. Now, balance changes and the manifesto came out today, and I want to go over a few things that I saw that were pretty interesting today. So let's bring those up and we'll go over a few things. So, as you can see, they changed a lot of things. I do really like this first one right here with the Atlas and map changes. Conquerors of the Atlas encounters can now be accessed through a map item. When you have a Conqueror's Citadel ready to go, speaking to Zana will open the map device interface with a map containing the Conqueror's Citadel already placed in the first slot. Currency can be applied to these maps in the same way as a regular map, and adding fragments or scarabs alongside the map will enhance the map further. Item quantity will only increase the amount of rewards dropped by the Conqueror by 20% of its total value. This is pretty interesting right here. They've been doing this with multiple leagues as of right now. I like that they're changing things into more of a tradable currency. I don't know if the Conquerors will be tradable. I do think that would be pretty interesting if it is. It would make it pretty interesting for players that aren't playing as hardcore, let's say, as some of the streamers or people that have enough time to really play the game through league start and like that whole first week through, which is really where it's for me at least the most exciting. So I'm excited to see this. I really like this idea behind incursion with the temple, so I do want to see this actually in action, and being able to modify it is just such a nice touch. Now, I know this is something every crafter probably hates this. Personally, I'm a big fan of this. I do like the bestiary change where splitting an item through beast crafting now applies a split modifier to both items, preventing further splitting. Now, this doesn't stop this altogether, but I do like the fact that it slows this down, so I feel like later in the league we will still have some of those insane items, but it won't be all the way across the board. Now, labyrinth changes. Consuming an offering to the goddess in the map device can now opens a portal to a random trial of ascendancy for the eternal labyrinth. Trials opened in this way will not award an offering to the goddess upon completion. I said in the first video I made ever that this is such a nice change. Really looking for that last two. If you aren't doing it through 820 chat, then it can be a real pain in Trade League, and this is a nice way to get this done if you aren't trying to sit and chat and find somebody who's doing it or pay for it. So this is a pretty nice change. I'm looking forward to this just in general, and it's a nice change for players that are more casual who don't really get to play until, let's say, mid to end league. Next one I thought that's pretty interesting is interacting with the Divine Font will now display a window with available enchantments. For example, after completing the Eternal Labyrinth, a window will be displayed where you will have the option to pick one of 3 helmet enchantments or an enchantment for your boots or gloves. So the Labyrinth changes are interesting. I think this does ruin the lab farmers, the eternal lab farmers. I think this makes this, people who love to farm that, they will spend the day just doing this and get those best enchants for the helms, and they really do sell for a lot. This is going to cut that time down, I guess, but at the same time it really takes away from that for some of the players that really enjoy that. So personally I like this, but I can understand where there will be mixed feelings on this as well. This next one I think is huge. The fact that they changed Corrupted Blood is insane. It has a maximum stack size of 10 now instead of just being endless, which I think is, honestly, it's a good thing from, I know we've all played the game before and had Corrupted Blood on us when we're running through with our first character, and you just do not have a bleeding flask yet, and you just die. You're just dead. So I do like the changes, but they changed it quite a bit, so various bleeding specific modifiers that may have previously applied to corrupted blood will no longer apply. Modifiers that affect both bleeding and corrupted blood, such as the of staunching modifier on flasks, have had their descriptions updated to reflect this change. Monsters that apply corrupted blood have been balanced around these changes accordingly. Corrupted blood applied by monster modifiers now have different values, and these values are now calculated based on the monster's level rather than its main hand damage, so some effects which raise monsters' attack damage no longer scale corrupted blood in unintuitive ways. So basically, they leveled it out to where it's going to feel more linear is the way that I'm seeing it, and will feel closer to bleed, but still have a little bit of more of a punch than regular bleed, especially with the stack size being larger and just with the way corrupted blood works in general. So now we're going to go down to skill balance. This one's pretty big. Divergent Berserk. Personally, I feel like it needed the nerf to be able to get more spell damage per 1% quality. It previously had a 1-to-1 ratio. Is crazy. I mean, you already get so much from Berserk, so for them to put that as a quality was very strange to me when I first saw it, and I'm happy they did change it. Did it need to be brought down to 0.25? I don't know, honestly. I understand why they brought it down instead of changing it, but I would have liked to see maybe it changed to something that could go closer with Berserk. I don't know exactly what I would put, but the spell damage being nerfed that much, it might even be better just to do, you know, more damage reduction at, you know, the same value as where the spell damage is now, or maybe more attack speed. But the spell damage was a weird one, and at a 1-to-1 ratio, it was just way too good. Now, Brutality, this one was interesting to me as well because it now supports any skill that deals damage. So obviously they want this to be able to apply to Exsanguinate and some of the new blood skills that we have coming into the game. But I'm interested to see how this works now with other skills it previously didn't work with. If it's just any skill that deals damage, once we get into, I don't know, is it only going to be physical damage? If it's not, then can we potentially see it being used in some weird ways? I could potentially see that being a little problematic. Maybe once we see the skill, it'll make a little bit more sense, but I have a few ideas with this that I will probably put out in the next video to give you guys some of the ideas I've been having with that. Now, some of the passive tree balance changes I've noticed that are pretty interesting. The first one is, it seems like they're just going to put a lot of the nodes onto that side of the tree for the new Exsanguinate and all the other blood skills, and a new Relentless and Veteran Soldier cluster. Relentless causes you to regenerate 1% of life per second if you have stunned an enemy recently, which whatever, and grants 25% increased physical damage. Veteran Soldier grants 10% physical damage over time multiplier, plus 20 to max life, and 20% increased physical damage. Overall, that cluster is pretty strong. I was more interested in where it's going to be. If it's in the southeast of the Templar starting location, also makes it very, very accessible to the Marauder, obviously. Now, the new Vanquisher cluster that has been added to the southwest of the Templar starting locations. It causes you to crush enemies for 4 seconds when you hit them while they are on full life, and grants 40% increased physical damage. This is pretty interesting. I like that. That's going to be something that's pretty cool, especially with the new gems. Now, the Red Storm cluster has been removed and replaced with a new Vitality Extraction cluster. It causes you to recover 2% of life on kill if you've spent life recently. Grants 25% increased damage with skills that cost life, and life lasts game 1 charge every 3 seconds. That's crazy. That's going to be an insane node. If you are playing any of the new skills, you are definitely going to use that. Now, for anybody that saw my league start build that I was looking at doing, you'll understand why it's still viable, but I need to make some changes to it now with these changes to Chainbreaker. Chainbreaker no longer causes you to lose 5 rage when you hit an enemy, no more than once every 0.3 seconds. Now causes skill to cost plus 3 rage, so it's not necessarily a nerf, it just adds in another step to the build. So what I'm thinking for me personally is throwing Rain of Arrows into the Quill Rain, and problem solved. I should generate enough rage from Quill Rain to offset the cost of my skills, as long as I can cast it enough. What we all know with Quill Rain, you're attacking so fast that it should be pretty good. Now down to the Ascendancy balance. I won't go over the Ascendant because we'll see it with the Gladiator as well, but Berserker, minor nodes now grant 10% instead of 12%, and Defy Pain, this one's pretty strange. I want to see this in action because it doesn't sound too great, to be honest. It adds some tankiness, 25% increased armor per Defiance, and you gain Defiance for 10 seconds on losing life to an enemy hit. 50% increased maximum total life recovery per second from Leech while you have Defiance. So this is where it gets interesting though. At 10 Defiance, take reflected physical damage equal to maximum life, then lose all Defiance. So honestly, doesn't sound like something you'd want to take, at least for me, but maybe someone will see something in that I don't. I'm looking forward to seeing what people think about that one, to be honest. Now, Flawless Savagery, I like this a lot. The increased critical strike chance modifier now applies to both attacks and spells. That's great. The added physical damage modifier now applies to both attacks and spells as well. That is also awesome. I am excited about this one, just in general, seeing the new blood skills and now having this apply to that, because I was wondering if it was really going to just be targeted only towards spellcasters, or if they were going to change things and modify things around it to make it more accessible to every character, and it looks like they did. Minor buff to the Assassin, 15% more damage, previously 25. The Assassin's still in such a strong place. They continue to nerf it, and I still think it's going to be a great character. The Assassin's always great, and it's always fun to play. Cast on crit, of course, so I don't really see this doing too much, to be honest. Gladiator with Gratuitous Violence doesn't do the 20% more damage with bleeding. Now it just grants 20% more physical damage over time. I like the change to this, to be honest. Since we have these new skills, it'll be nice to see that changing as well with it. Now, Primal Aegis now takes 75 damage per allocated notable passive skill, previously 100 for the Elementalist with the Bastion of Elements. I think that'll be good. Primal Aegis was very strong. I did play one briefly last week, and it adds quite a bit of defense, so I feel like that was necessary. Was it so powerful that it needed to be nerfed that much? Probably not. I would have taken it down to maybe 85, to be honest. Test it there first. It is no longer possible to temporarily bypass your golem limit. So I don't know if you guys saw some of what people were doing, but I saw a build video last league of somebody who was detonating their golems, and it was happening so quickly that they were pretty much generating like 32 explosions, so it's similar to having 32 golems, and the buffs were sticking for a little bit longer, so he was pretty much running 32 golem buffs, which is absolutely insane. And he was beyond tanky, and they were just killing everything. Now the Necromancer. Essence Glutton now causes you to regenerate 4% of your mana over 2 seconds when you consume a corpse, previously 8%. It, again, not something I would change, but I can understand why they did it. The next one, though, I do understand. Pathfinder Master Surgeon now removes corrupted blood when you use a flask. I do like that. I like that they have something on there now, especially with what they're taking away from Pathfinder. So they had to give something back. Is it equal to what they took away? No. Pathfinder got nerfed, but hey, it's a good thing. It's not good to be able to run around with builds with 2500 life and have so much damage mitigation, because it's not directly damage reduction, but so much damage mitigation that you can't even be killed. So that's what I think about the Balance Manifesto. I did not talk about a few of the big things, but I know everyone else will be covering those things. Let me know what you guys think. Please show this small channel some love. Drop a like, hit subscribe. Thank you guys. My name is Ark. Grind on.